Welcome to Savvy Business, Life Unscripted, with your host, Christina Rivera, where our guests share their wisdom and valuable business tips, empowering our audience to expand their personal potential.
Hi, Cynthia Davis. Welcome to Savvy Broadcasting, Life Unscripted. I'm so grateful to have you here today. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
You betcha. I'm so grateful to have you here. You are the founder of RadiantBlueGroup.com, doing amazing work, helping people out there shift. We're going to talk about today a 1% shift that can lead to monumental change. And, I don't know if you read this book, but I read this book called Atomic Habits. And basically he had talked about how little minute changes can lead to huge changes in your life, but in incremental steps. Because I think a lot of times when you say you want to lose 100 pounds or you want to, start a new venture, it seems incredible, monumental. But he said, if you do them in little steps, you can, over time, 1% better than yesterday, another 1%. At the end of the year, boom, you've had a huge success. So, and that's something you deal with in your company, helping clients focus on 5 principles that can lead you to huge monumental changes. Share a little bit about your backstory before we go into that, though.
Oh, I'd love to. I appreciate that because it's actually my backstory that helped me come to this conclusion of what we share with our clients today. So by way of background, I started in industry as a software engineer. So out of college, and I ended up joining a company, a great company, GE, and I got to work with some really amazing people. But I started as a software engineer and rapidly accelerated up through the ranks of the corporation. And very interestingly, in my own career, I saw lots of different styles of leadership, lots of different approaches to how to accomplish goals, how to grow your business. And I was able to really adapt what would work for me, what would work well, and continue to grow the businesses that I ran. So I got to run some really great businesses in those companies. Mm-hmm. Interestingly, though, I felt the more responsibility I had, the higher I went, almost like a fish out of water, because I knew I had this entrepreneurial spirit. And at some point, I was going to take the plunge and start my own firm. And mm-hmm. So I actually, started reading about these phenomenal leaders and how they really accomplished and made significant impact and had this monumental change. And it really just gave me the courage to take the plunge and start our business and our firm. And so today I work with my partner, Bill. We run an amazing consulting firm working with technology companies and growth companies and business builders and leaders. And that's what actually led me to the founding of Incremental Monumental Change.
How did you realize that 1% change could be the trigger that could be the cascading for success? How did that come about for you?
It was interesting because, as you said earlier, when you were talking about that book, often what we do is we set these great big goals, or we have, in business, we want to have a strategic plan. We want to have a vision. Here's where we're going to go. And we set up these milestones, like here's what's 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. And while I think that's very important, and it's important to really have your sights set on something that's aspirational and very mission oriented and very vision oriented, there's got to be a translation to the organization and to the team of, okay, so what do I do now? What do I do today? What is my priority today? And so we often say it's not just necessarily the 1 degree of difference or the incremental step, but it's actually doing it in the right direction. So it's the right 1%, because you could do a lot of things and you could be really busy and create a lot of flurry, but you want to focus on what's really going to hone in on what it is that you want to accomplish.
And the end result. It's interesting because many years ago, I was home ec, and I remember they would give us cooking classes. And one of the things we had to make is like a chocolate chip cookie. And I remember not following the recipe in order. I thought, well, who cares? I'll do this first and then do that. And of course, the cookies came out horribly. And the teacher was like, no, there's a reason why the directions are A, B, C, D, that you have to follow them in order, because if you don't do the cooking ingredients in order, you come out with a messed up product.
It's a very different product, right?
Yeah, or horrible cookies.
Right.
So in the case here, I'm hearing that you could take a bunch of steps leading to your end result, but if you don't take them in the right order, is what I'm getting, that you might not reach the end result you want.
Yeah, I think it's there's a piece of it that is the right order, but it's also knowing the right things to work on, right? And making sure that when you do that, that you're moving it is taking you in the right direction. And that's the beauty of when you mentioned, hey, we have these 5 principles that we work on with leaders. We are, you often hear the differentiators between 1 degree of difference, right? What's the 1 degree of difference between ice and water, right? It's just 1 degree. And yet it's very different. Water and steam, very different, 1 degree. It's the same thing when you're moving on a trajectory somewhere. When you set the course in a certain direction, 1 degree off of that course is going to take you to a different port. So we really look at working with the leaders to help them identify, okay, this is a really good, it sounds like a really great philosophy. How do I put it into play? And how do I show up as a leader that knows the wisdom to how to lead my organization and my business in the right direction and take those 1 degree changes? And the most powerful thing about what you were saying in terms of the incremental steps is when you take it this way, you are also already prepared for when the quantum opportunity shows up, you're ready. Right? Wow. You're not always just shooting for the home run. You might have 3 players already on base and then you get the home run, right?
Yeah.
So it's a way of helping focus the organization, but as a leader, being able to make the monumental impact you want to without wasting time and energy and frustration in the wrong areas.
So, from your experience, what are, like you're saying that you have to stay on target and know you're going in the right direction. Could 1% shift? And this reminds me of my husband, who's a pilot. He said, if I'm off 1 degree, I'm ending up in a totally different place. And so here, what I'm getting from you is that even a 1 degree shift can be all you need to take you to the direction or bring you to the success you're looking for in your business.
That's exactly right, Christina. And that's the perfect analogy. In fact, that's literally one of our principles that we talk about in terms of being able to recognize how to look at your control panel, so to speak, right? Here's the pilot, he's got, 100 different controls on the control panel. How do you know the important ones to look at when, right? What's important? How do you know what dials to turn and dial it in? So that's what we really focus on with our clients, but it really starts with the leader.
Yeah.
And it really starts with them having a recognition of what is it that they have to do and who do they have to be to show up that way.
Interesting. So you focus on the leadership first because they're the ones who are going to lead the entire group. And is it, what I'm gathering from you, is it sometimes just tweaks sometimes that need to be made, not necessarily like a total overhaul of the entire business. A lot of times it's just little tweaks here and there. And what are some of the issues you find with leaders that have them, kind of off or shifted off of the 1% change they need to make?
So it's interesting because sometimes it is just tweaks. And a lot of us grew up with the idea of this whole philosophy around re-engineering. And I have to re-engineer everything. And I have to move all the, deck chairs around and try and, put them back together in some semblance of order that could save money or be more efficient, right?
Yeah.
This isn't about that. This is really working with the leaders so that they have such clarity around their mission and where they want to go and their vision. And, we hear a lot about, envisioning and do, set a vision, et cetera. We coin a phrase, we call it be vision, because we want the leaders to really embody the vision of the company, embody the mission of where it is that they are going to take the organization or their business. And when they get that very clear for themselves, right, they can then start to be able to not only communicate it, but they show up as that person. They show up as that leader. So if I want to be a leader of a business that is making global impact and has audacious goals to actually do something monumental, then when I'm coming back into here's my reality today, I've got to be able to hold the presence and be that leader that's going to make that monumental impact. And that's the first principle. The second principle, Christine, is one that to me, it just kind of shifts everything. And it's a shift of perspective. So we call it moving from the horizontal view to the vertical view. So think about it this way. If I'm looking at my goal or my vision and it's down the road, it's down in the future, 3 years out, I'm looking into the horizon and I can't see past the horizon, right? It's just, okay, I'm here today and I'm going there. We say, shift that perspective and go up to a vertical. Okay. Look at it as if you were looking down from a satellite perspective. Now, when you have that vision in your mind, right, in your mind's eye, you know the monumental impact you want to have. You know what you want to do with your business. You know where you want to take your organization and your team. When you shift your perspective and literally go vertical and look down, now all of a sudden you're seeing a whole panorama of what's possible.
Yeah.
The whole view changes. The whole perspective changes, right?
Wow. What I'm gathering here is really about putting yourself in the position of, when I get there. No, you're putting yourself, I'm there. What does it look like when I'm there right now, right here?
Beautiful. That's it.
Yeah. Wow.
What does it look like? I'm now the leader of this. What does it look like? And when you shift that perspective to the vertical view, here's where your husband's pilot experience comes in, because I love this analogy. Think about it. They have a heads up display and then they have controls. So they're always looking at the heads up display in terms of the bigger picture. What's my situational awareness? What is the bigger view? And then they have to go down and dial and change the knobs or change the controls, right? Yeah. So the third principle for in incremental monumental impact, these elite leaders who want to make this kind of impact in the world, is they have to learn how to have that dual awareness. They hold the vision, they hold the beingness of that monumental impact that they're going to bring about in the world, right? But they also then have to be able to come back to a sense of current time, if you will, and know how to dial it in. So they're always holding that dual awareness. They're being the observer. They're being, recognizing that, as one of my managers many years ago, Jack Welch at GE would say, face reality as it is. So they're capable of facing reality as it is, but holding the vision and being the vision of where it is that they want to take the organization or take their business.
So basically what they're doing is they're both big picture and details at the same time. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, this is fascinating because the biggest thing I'm getting from you, the first principle is really becoming your vision. And that's absolute paramount. If you can't become the vision, no one else is going to be able to grab onto it and your mission and just run with it. And It's interesting you say that because one woman said to me, she was a consultant, she said she'll go into a lot of business and say, okay, tell me, what is your mission or what are you about? And they can't put into succinct couple of sentences about really explaining what they are about in just a couple sentences, and that just verbally. So if you can't even do that verbally, how are you going to embody it?
You got it. It's so true. And I saw that with so many different types of businesses and so many leaders. And it was one of the things I said, when I come into the place where I really want to work with those businesses, those elite leaders who recognize the importance of that, it changes the game totally. And the results that they're seeing in their business, right? So it is literally the idea that so many of them, they might have the mission statement and it's a statement on the wall. It's not a sense of purpose. It's not inspirational. And nobody embodies it. Nobody holds that, right? So especially for, us entrepreneurs, and I love working with the entrepreneurs, it's like, that's the name of the game, is you embody that and hold that and have the dual awareness and the shift of perspective so that you literally can build your business in that direction of where you want to go.
And how you walk into a new company, let's say they think they know what they're all about. They have the pretty little mission statement there. Yeah, this is us. All right, what does that mean for you? How do you get them to embody it, get in touch with it, maybe rewrite it so it's actually a reality for them? How do they go about that, really embodying the vision they want?
So often there's a couple of questions that I love to ask them, right? So they may have some aspirational mission statement that's on the wall. But if I ask them the question, what does it look like when you've achieved the mission specifically? You now have to come into an associated state of articulating it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when they have trouble doing that, I know that we've got work to do, right? The other question that's really an interesting question, I think it's very unique to what we do and how we work with our clients, is I will often ask them, what is it in the marketplace that makes you the obvious choice? Mm-hmm. So that's your mission, and that's the problem that you solve. And people are going to come to you for business because you solve that problem. And they're going to want to work with you because you solve that problem. What is it that they're going to see that will make you the obvious choice that you're actually doing that, right? Mm-hmm. And when you have to put yourself into the place of, oh, that client, it chose me because I was the obvious choice. What had to have happened for me to be that obvious choice? Mm-hmm. It really creates this introspection, right? Yeah. So now you've got to kind of look within and really have some truth for yourself. Mm-hmm. Is that really who I am? Yeah. And if I'm not, what do I have to do to get there?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's interesting. Someone said to me before that people have these resolutions at the start of the year. I want to lose 100 pounds, or I want to, that weight seems to be a big one. But they don't ever think to themselves, what does that 100-pound less person be like in real life? Who are they? Right. I see a person who is 100 pounds less. Let's say you're 200 pounds, you want to be, or not 200 pounds, maybe 250 and you want to be 150 or something like that. Well, what does a 150-pound person who's a 5'5" guy do? Well, he lives, he does not the person that goes out and gets McDonald's 10 times a week. Who is that person? What does he look like? What does he embody? How is his everyday life? And he said, you have to get to that point, not just, I want to lose 100 pounds. What is that person being every day?
Exactly. And that's the difference actually between what I call the fourth principle, which is coherence versus just sheer willpower. And what that really looks like is that when you move into a place of coherence, there's that head-heart connection, right? There's that mind-gut connection as a leader, right? Yes, there's mm-hmm. logic, but there's also a feeling mm-hmm. or a space where sometimes we call it, right, our intuition, but it's aligned and it's very coherent. Mm-hmm. And that's why, and some people will refer to it as, your state of consciousness, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why we hear all these stories of people who may come into a lot of money, or you do lose a lot of weight through brute force, right? Mm-hmm. Sheer willpower, we can lose weight. Sheer willpower, we can make more money. Sheer willpower, we can plow through and we can grow our business. Mm-hmm. The key is the coherence to be able to sustain it and hold the consciousness of that new place that you are, right? That new person who's 100 pounds less, right? Now you've got to be the awareness and the consciousness and become that person mm-hmm. to maintain it. In other words, the weight comes back, right? Yeah. In other words, you come into a lot of money and you lose it because you can't hold the consciousness. Yeah. In other words, you can grow your business and you can get new contracts, but if the company or your business and you haven't embodied it, it's mm-hmm. very difficult to sustain it. Mm-hmm. And by the way, this is the number one thing that leads to burnout because you really had to go through the mm-hmm. brute force, work hard, make it happen kind of energy to get that growth. Yeah. So incremental monumental change is not about getting growth that way. It's getting growth through these principles that we're talking about, right? And having that coherence, which is in the coherence, Christina, is where the wisdom of what is the 1 degree shift I need to make. That's where it comes from. Yeah. So when we be that vision and have that alignment for ourselves, that you tune in to an inner wisdom. I don't care what term you'd like to call it, right? Inner wisdom, gut feel, whatever. But it's almost like the universe then starts to conspire with you. So you see
to work with you. Yeah.
To work with you, right?
Yeah.
So now you're viewing your incremental monumental change from a satellite perspective, and you see, the whole realm of possibility. And it starts, I've even had leaders tell me, when I do that, it's almost as if what I need to do starts to light up. It's like the path lights up for me. And I know what to do, right? I know that 1 degree of, do
Boom.
this, right?
See,
Boom.
one of the questions my mentor said people come to him is like, I want to do X, Y, Z. I want to get from here to here. What is the how? He said, well, the how is different for every person, every situation. What you should be asking is not the how, but what is it you desire, and put that picture there that you can hold and start moving and being the person that's going to do that. Because the how will show up in the incremental steps you need to take. And then you take that first step. And then once you start taking it, like you said, and you start holding that, the next steps will just start to reveal themselves. But you won't know until you start taking those steps. So what I like about that, one guy said to me, let's say it's the weight thing. Okay. So one guy said, I was drinking like 2 liters of Coke a day. Okay. Boom. We're switching Coke for lemon water. One change, boom, one change. But that one change starts to, I'm feeling better. Now I have more energy. Now I can think to work out, because before it wasn't even a possibility. I could barely move off the couch.
That's right.
So it was that one change that starts leading to the other actions that compile.
That's it. Mm-hmm. And it's not a cookie cutter, right? It's not, there is no cookie cutter. I love the word you used, because you said it's revealed. And when you have these plans that are laid out, boom, 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 this is what we have to do. Here's where we have to go. And you don't allow something to emerge in the space of being in that coherence and holding the vision and being that. Mm-hmm. You forego a beautiful serendipitous opportunity to have the right 1 degree shifts happening in your business day after day after day, right? After week. It's beautiful.
So what is the final little piece of this wonderful?
I'll leave you with the final piece, which I think is woven through everything we talked about, and that's these elite leaders that really look at the idea of incremental, monumental change and want to just increase their, express their genius and capability and really do something extraordinary. It starts with, there's an inner and outer game, and it starts with a place of self-awareness. Mm-hmm. And when you go there, it shifts the whole agenda. Right. Mm-hmm. So the whole agenda for the leaders starts to move from an agenda of, this is a transactional business. I'm a business that just transacts. I sell you this and you pay me for that. Right. Mm-hmm. And then maybe you move into more of it's transformational, and we create change together. And, it's about not just me and my business, but it's we, and we have a bit of a collaboration or partnership. Yeah. Well, the self-awareness shift and the shift of the agenda, when you're holding that dual awareness, so you've got that head-up display and you're looking from there, that goes into what we call transcendent leadership. Because when you're looking down from the satellite view and you see this whole piece, you no longer can see it as just, here's me in my little space. Mm-hmm. Because at the same time you see you and your business, you're seeing, something over here that requires your support or your help or healing in another area on the planet, that, I can build my business. I can be profitable. I can reinvest in my business, and I can use what I'm generating to go solve another problem on the planet. Right. Because now I'm in a leadership position that says, wow, my views changed. Mm-hmm. My perspective has changed. Therefore, the agenda changed. In fact, the agenda has to be for the greater good of all.
Yeah. And what's interesting about this, a couple of years ago, I was in a bad space working environment, and I felt stuck in a number of areas of my life. And someone has suggested that I do a gratitude journal, which I was very resistant for, but I took 30 days to start it out and get going with it. But the interesting thing is just what you were talking about there, the introspection that came from it. Because all of a sudden, from seeing things happening to me and feeling like you're a victim of circumstance, you begin to step back, and when you note the things you're grateful for, no matter how small or big or medium, you begin to see, there's a lot of great things in my life. And maybe some of the things that aren't so great are a learning opportunity. There's some good in it. But I began to see things differently, not as from a perspective of this is horrible circumstances to these are wonderful circumstances pushing me to be a greater self. Mm-hmm. And bring that self-awareness. I mean, that is just for me, how it worked for me, but I'm guessing for other people, they could do that introspection in a different manner. But yeah, it's that going and starting to check things within and say, okay, where are we? And instead of looking at it from this, let's get clear on where am I in all this space?
Exactly. And it takes you right back to the first principle of the self-awareness of who am I being? It's full circle, right?
Yeah.
That's the beauty. It's full circle. And they discover, you know what, when we bring this in with teams and we start working with the leaders and we work with entrepreneurs, guess what? They see it for themselves. And that's the big reveal. And that's the part I love the most. Yes.
It's awesome. And this is such a great chat. I've been so grateful with that you sharing all this wisdom with our audience. How can they find out more about Radiant Blue, work with you guys? How can they do that?
Well, we have two ways that you can get in touch with us, right? RadiantBlueGroup.com. That is our website, and where you can find our contact information on our website and our LinkedIn. And Incremental Monumental Change is a special flavor that we bring for people, elite leaders that want to build their business and do amazing things. So you can find us at incrementalchange.com.
I love it. And we could use some monumental change around the planet, right?
We can. That's exactly what we want. So we want people to join in on that thinking, the understanding, and let's go change the planet and do something amazing.
And we can. We
Because we
don't, and what I see people do a lot, they look for certain leaders, certain organizations, and no, it starts with every single person go do it.
That's it, Christina. That's beautiful.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. This
Thank
has been a fabulous chat. I'm so grateful you came out today to share your great wisdom on Savvy Broadcasting. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You bet.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Like, subscribe, and share this episode. To listen to more savvy episodes and savvy biz tips, go to www.lifeunscriptedradio.com. To find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or how to become a guest, email Christina at lifeunscriptedradio.com.